Ooh, you're almost caught up to them, which means then they're going to have to start doing new stuff too. All right, shoulder complex. There we go, finally. All right, these are the bones, the clavicle, the scapula, the humerus. Have you heard of those before? Where's the clavicle? Yes, across here. Where's the scapula? It is your shoulder blade. All right, what's your humerus? Humerus, right? Even though it's not the funny bone. That's actually a nerve. All right, so if you have bones and you have articulations or joints, you have an SC joint, sternum, even though it's not part of your shoulder, but it is part of where the clavicle is going to meet. So you have SC, sterno for sternum, clavicular, SC, tells you exactly where it is. Acromioclavicular, we'll show you a picture, but here's the thing about the AC joint. Anybody know where it is? The acromioclavicular joint? No idea? All right. What are those three bones that make up the shoulder are humerus, right? Clavicle, scapula. Well, here's the scapula. Here's your shoulder blade. Okay? So it comes out, and here's the clavicle, the collarbone. Comes way over here, and this part that comes off the spine, that's the spine of the scapula, and it comes up to the acromion process. What a process is, it's a piece of bone that protrudes. Okay? Fossa would be a hollowed out part. You learn about your fossas coming up. So we take out the humerus, and we can see here's the glenoid fossa. See how it's a hollow part where it's been ice cream scooped out? A process is opposite, it sticks out. So the acromion process and the clavicle. So they call it the acromioclavicular joint, the AC joint that connects the acromion process of the scapula and the clavicle. The glenoid fossa, Fossa. So that is right here on the scapula. All right, that is the round part that the humerus fits into. So gleno, humeral joint. That's where it all happens. That's the golf ball, and there's the golf tee that it sits on. You don't play golf? No, not even Tiger Woods golf on PlayStation. Bad. So it's a ball and socket joint, large ball, small socket. So that gives us what? Large, small socket, large ball. Gives us a lot of range of motion. And with an increase of range of motion, you have a decrease in talked about this when we talked about the types of joints last year. You increase your range of motion, you decrease your stability. Right? So large ball, small socket, like a golf ball on a golf tee. More mobility means less stability. Oh man, it was right there. Jeez. Super Bowl Monday, I guess. Y'all watch a ball game? No. No. She said no. Did you watch the ball game? Oh my goodness. All right. So I went way fast. All right. Articulations. Subscapulothoracic joint. Not a true joint, but that is Sub is underneath, so it's underneath the scapula, and so it's the part where the scapula and the ribs are. All right? You can see as people work out, they have changes in strength that you could find that the tip down here can tell you a lot by how far out it comes. All right. Prevention of shoulder injuries. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do you understand that? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do you understand that? You do? Sure? What's it mean?
Like, if you prevent it, then you won't have to spend more curing it.
Bam. Exactly. You prevent the injury. Shoulder injuries are a real fun thing because you start tearing up shoulders, they might not be back to normal. So, proper physical conditioning. Full range of motion is used in conditioning. It says that, but up to a certain extent. If you have an injury, though, you pretty much are going to keep everything below the clavicle. So, from here down is where you're going to do your exercises until you're strong enough where you can start getting up. The reason that is there's a flat spot on the humerus up here. All right, we start getting up, and the flat spot gets there and allows it to dislocate or sublux. So get your strength together. Okay, we're also going to talk about the rotator cuff. Got a picture of a rotator cuff. You don't like it? It's not like a cuff on a sleeve. All right, proper warm up and stretching. If you just go down there and you're going to play baseball, and the first thing you do is start throwing fastballs, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to start tearing muscle fibers. All right, warm up. Let the body heat up from the inside out. Instructing your athletes on the proper way to fall. And don't fall on an outstretched arm. I fall on an outstretched arm, the force is going to go somewhere, comes up these two bones. If it doesn't hurt your elbow, it keeps going up through the humerus. The humerus then goes like this, boom, hits this clavicle and forces it off of the AC joint. And now you have what's called a separated shoulder. Not a dislocated shoulder, but a separated shoulder. We're going to talk about the difference between those two. All right? Proper fitting of shoulder pads in collision sports, such as football. What else uses shoulder pads? No idea? Come on, think like a Yankee. And a New York Yankee, but actually a Yankee. Ha, bam. Jiminy crickets, they are. They're gone today. Yes, hockey's great. There's another one that plays out here. The club sport. Lacrosse. Yes. Finding hen's teeth in here. All right. Correct techniques for sports with overuse injuries, such as throwing, spiking, overhead smashing, tackling, blocking, swimming. Tennis, overhand. Right? Baseball, overhand. Softball pitches are underhand, but you're throwing overhand. Um, Football, obviously. You start getting up in here, it's not his way to throw, but it's not necessarily the most stable place for the shoulder to be. So proper technique is going to save you in the end. All right. Anybody ever broke their collarbone? No? It can happen pretty easy. Somebody hits you on it, you actually fall, and you get compressed sideways. You fall down, the guy tackling you lands on top, and it comes here, and boom, you're cracking. You then have a fractured clavicle, one of the most frequent fractures in sport. Results from, hey, there was somebody who plays in the NFL that had one this year. You remember? Number 9 plays quarterback for the Cowboys. Tony Romo. You don't remember this? He's actually having a surgery this week. I think it's this week, maybe it was last week. He's getting surgery to put a plate on it to help it heal better. So once you break it, it's so much easier to break it again. Majority of clavicle fractures occur from the middle third, or occur in the middle third from a direct impact. Young athletes are usually a green stick fracture. Remember when we talked about fractures? Remember the green stick fracture? Doesn't break all the way, it splinters? Yes. So we'll see mostly these out here. Folks your age are going to end up with a green stick fracture, more than likely. Folks my age, they're just going to snap in two. The bone just changes. It's not all hard. So it will change to a green stick to probably a transverse. All right, the athlete will support their arm support the arm on the injured side, tilt his head towards that side, and the chin will be turned. All right, so this is how you see it. They're coming off the field. All right, they're holding their arm, and they're doing this. And so the wife and I, we have this game when we're watching football games on TV, guess the injury, and we do pretty good. I'm sure she does the same thing of guess the injury. I always take the DVR and I go back and forth, and instead of watching just the play, I'm watching the hit that caused the injury. And then she and I go by watching the mechanism. But you can see it. They're like this. All right, so they're shortening their sternoclavicular muscle by bringing their head here, and that goes from back here all the way down. So if I shorten it, it's not pulling on that bone anymore. All right? If I bring it up, the other muscles, such as the pectoralis, they're not so stretched out either. All right? So you see that, you say, oh, good. Probably broke his daggum collarbone. All right? During inspection, the clavicle appears to be slightly lower than the unaffected side. Deformity may also be felt with palpation, and that's where you reach in there and you can feel it. So you reach in, you grab the clavicle, all right, and you're able to push it back and forth. If it's sturdy, then you probably don't have a fracture. But if it feels pop, clickety, etc., then you very well have a broken clavicle. And if you look at that clavicle and you see, uh-oh, that drops off and then it continues, yes, get an x-ray. Clavicle fractures for your treatment, we just said x-ray. If it's out of alignment, if it's not a green stick fracture and it's out of alignment where it's dropped down, then it needs to be put back into place. We're not doing that. The doctors are going to do that. They have x-ray machines and they have malpractice insurance, right? Immobilization for, 6 to 8 weeks. Now, you can do it, but, I really think that most people have gotten away from it. They used to have these straps that you would put on and it would X in the back, and it'd come around here and you'd hold your arms back. But they found that there's not that big a difference between this and nothing, just not exercising. And some of them are so smacked up, they got to be helped along with plates and screws. So they'll make a little hole, put a plate in there, mold it to your specific clavicle, and then they'll just screw them in. 30-minute surgery. Fractures to the humerus. All right, ma'am, where's your humerus? Huh? What'd you say? Come on, some effort today. Humerus. That bone right there. Okay? Happened to the shaft. Now, proximal means up here. Distal means down here. So, it can happen to the shaft, proximal humerus, and the head of the humerus. How the fracture occurs differs from each type of fracture. All right, so we're at a scrimmage, and this kid who's a freshman quarterback, he gets all pumped up because he just made a 3-yard run. Yeah, all right, we're going to take it to her. Next play. He got hit on the outside, came in, hit him right there. Looked like a dislocated shoulder. Had a big deformity down here, so I'm trying to get him to come up, No, I can't do it. Come on, you can do it. No, I can't. Okay, fine. Put you in a sling. Let's take you to the hospital. Lo and behold, what had happened is that right here's this growth plate. He broke that bone here at the growth plate, and then the rest of it fell down. Gravity pulls it. Had another kid who's a freshman. Now this kid, the first one was crying like crazy. Had another kid. He had a mid-shaft fracture. Of course, when those fractures occur, your elbow drops. Gravity's pulling. Okay, and so he's sitting on the bench. He's not whining and crying. He says, just hurt about here. I said, all right. What happened? He tells me what happened. I said, okay. Well, I went and I held his wrist and then I grabbed his elbow. All right. And you could feel the bone go back together. And I took my hand off and I did it again. I said, oh, well, you broke your humerus. Oh, is that bad? This kid must not have any pain receptors in his body or his brain because there's no way that that didn't hurt. Freshman kid didn't have a problem. And there's not a whole lot that you do with it. All right? So, how the fracture occurs is different for each type. You can get hit straight on it. You can come up here. So don't blow out a humerus fracture, even as strong as what it is. Humeral shaft is caused by a direct hit or a fall on the arm. Mid-shaft fractures are comminuted or transverse fractures. Remember comminuted fractures? You've got more than 3 fragments on it, right? All right. Have you ever gotten in trouble and your mom grabbed you right here underneath your arm where your artery is? You can feel it pump. That's also why you put your dealie on here, your blood pressure. All right. So you got arteries that come down here. You got blood supply. Fractured humerus can cause a lot of damage if you let it go. So make sure you get it splinted, get that sucker up there, and always check for a pulse. Always check for capillary refill in their fingers too. But pulse is going to be your money maker there. All right. Often produce bony fragments override each other, and a result of a sting, as a result of a sting or muscular pull. Mid-shaft fractures. You got to worry about the radial nerve. You know your little buddy down here. Do you want me to find him on you? It's really easy to find. My wife hates it. You just grab the elbow, you find that process, and you just roll that nerve right there. Well, to get here, it has to go past the humerus. So if you've got a fractured humerus, you got to be worried about the radial nerve getting fractured or severed from fragment. Not a good thing. Wrist drop, can't supinate. They won't be able to do this. Okay. X-ray, treat by a physician, etc. Proximal fractures, which are all up at the top, they pose a considerable danger to nerves and vessels. Vessels in that area can result from a direct blow, dislocation, an impact received while falling on an outstretched arm, may be mistaken for a shoulder dislocation, and the greatest number of fractures that take place to the humerus are at the neck of the humerus, which is way up here. So don't think, okay, yeah, I think it's an AC. No, it's not referred to AC sprain. All right, it is a fractured humerus. They are going to have some serious difficult time moving that bone. All right, they're not going to be able to come out here and AB duct. All right, but again, if you just push up on the elbow, you'll palpate and you'll feel that where that bone comes back together. The epiphysis, you have, well, say you do. You got an epiphysis? You got an epiphysis? I do. Do you have one? What is it? You don't know?
Oh,
You don't?
no.
Nobody?
Fracture in your humerus
No, but it's at the epiphysis. How's your bone grow? From the inside? From the inside out? How's it get longer? It's longer from the ends, actually. So like if this was all the way down here, it's only getting longer here at the end. It doesn't come from the middle and push out. It's at the end. And that's your epiphysis. So it's a growth plate. You can get a fracture in the growth plate of the humerus. More common in a younger athlete, 10 years of age or younger, caused by a direct blow or indirect force. They hit their elbow, it comes up, finds a weak spot, which is going to be your growth plate, especially if you're young. That's the weak spot. And then it just knocks it off. Not a fun thing. Certainly, orthopedic will take care of that. All right. So, now that you have these fractures to this wonderful humerus, we need x-rays. And with x-rays, you're going to look for the other signs to get x-rays are pain, inability to move arm, point tenderness, discoloration, and the paralysis. If they can't take their hand and move it up, if they have difficulty bringing it with abduction, get an x-ray. X-rays are $100. Best $100 in medicine. So we got to get them out of the game. Obviously, they're not going back into play. You got a broken arm, right? You got a broken arm. How are you going to continue, especially if you're quarterback? You're going to chunk the ball down the field and have an extra elbow? It'd be a shell bow, wouldn't it? It'd be between the shoulder and the elbow. Refer to physician, immediate support, immobilization, 2 to 6 months. Because you use that bone so much, it takes long. All right. I'm going to quit